The elegant mare held her head high against the cold breeze. The train station wasn't exactly warm, but anything was better than being outside on a day like this. Her luggage had already been loaded up and was on its way to the hotel, leaving her waiting for one of the notoriously unreliable Manhattan carriages to arrive. She had ordered one to arrive almost an hour ago, and there was still no sign of it. She would have to have a serious talk with the leader of the transportation committee. After an eternity of waiting, a carriage finally pulled up to the pavement. It was a pathetic two-pony model, pulled by a single brown-coated stallion. He seemed like he was about to nod respectfully to her. A flash of recognition glinted in his eyes, and he turned back to face the road without saying a word. Her upper lip twitched distastefully. Such rudeness from the common folk was unacceptable. Clearly Manhattan was going down the drain. After a moment of annoyed hesitation, she climbed aboard.
West Manhattan University. Don't spare yourself.
He snorted and began pulling. The pace was painfully slow, even for carriage travel. It seemed the driver was in no hurry, despite her instructions to the contrary. The sun had set, and she was in some stupid tiny carriage being pulled around downtown Manhattan by an infuriating buffoon. He hadn't said a word, yet she knew everything he was thinking. He probably hated her for being so well-groomed, or some other little nicety they clearly didn't have in this city. Celestia, she could smell the sweat on this stallion. She was grateful for exactly one thing, that she had asked to go straight to the university instead of her hotel. The university was much closer to the train station, even with the driver taking a very creative route. The plan was initially to pick up her daughter and take her to the hotel to reward her for such good work. In actual fact, any true reward would have to wait until she had visited some contacts within the university and determined whether Octavia was deserving of a reward at all. That would all take place tomorrow, however. Tonight, she simply intended to lightly question her daughter. Nothing too serious, just in case she had done well. That was, if the damn carriage got there before morning. She drew her phone out from within her mane, a childish yet effective storage system. With a sigh, she decided to make sure Octavia wasn't out wasting time with her friend. A couple of contacts placed at the door of her dormitory should do the trick. Octavia felt lost. She'd spent the entire day in their dorm room sitting around, reading and studying. Vinyl still wasn't back. She'd checked the news on Vinyl's computer a number of times out of worry, wondering if perhaps something horrible had happened. Stop it, shut up, stop it! It was only in Vinyl's absence that she realized how much she had come to depend on her Philly friend for everyday life. It was the first day in weeks they hadn't spent together. She simply didn't know what to do. The sun had set a couple of hours ago. Octavia thought about going to bed even though she knew she would be unable to sleep. Anything was better than just standing there waiting for the door to open. She felt angry at herself. She felt pathetic.
One day. I can't make it one day without her. What does that say about my strength of character?
Her hind legs wobbled, and she sunk down to a sitting position. Was there a word for complete emotional dependence on another pony?
Perhaps I'm a parasite?
A clattering noise came from the window. Her ears perked up, and she glanced at the frosted glass, wondering if she had imagined it. A second clatter brought a hesitant smile to her face as she got up to investigate. She forced open the window with a little effort, watching little ice scrapings drop down to the snow. A weak yet impossibly cold wind sheared straight through her, sucking all the heat out in moments. Until, of course, she noticed a unicorn wearing a grayish-purple beanie below. Her heart beat faster at the mere sight of Vinyl, warmth returning to her limbs within seconds.
"What are you doing down there?"
she called with a half-giggle, her previous ponderings forgotten as things returned to normal. Or at least as normal as they could be with Vinyl. "Shh!" The DJ hushed her quickly.
"Get your boots and scarf and stuff, quickly!"
Vinyl seemed to be a little on edge, looking in every direction as if she was committing a crime. Octavia frowned in confusion, but followed her instructions, stuffing her hooves into her warm boots and wrapping a scarf around her neck before rushing back to the window.
What's going on?
She said, as quietly as she could while still making her voice reach Vinyl.
There's some ponies at the entrance to the dorm who won't let any pony in or out. They must be from campus security or something. Anyway, I'm busting you out.
The unicorn grinned. Octavia wondered if they were on the same page.
Why?
I have a present for you. It's almost midnight, so we need to hurry.
Midnight? What does midnight have to do?
She relaxed slightly.
My birthday! Oh, my sweet Vinyl. What do you want me to do?
She asked, utterly convinced to go along with whatever insane scheme her DJ had planned.
Well, I kinda need you to jump out of the window.
Alright, maybe not utterly convinced.
Are you serious?
She was having a hard time keeping her voice quiet now.
I'll catch you. It's just, I can't get you through the front door, and this is the quickest way.
Sweet Celestia, is she serious? I don't know. Vinyl, this might be a bit too much. I appreciate that you have something planned, but I don't...
Do you trust me?
She looked down the window at the little red eyes staring straight back up at her. Octavia bit her lip and swallowed nervously.
The damn dating guides didn't mention jumping out a window.
Her legs tensed.
With everything.
She leapt straight out of the window and jammed her eyes shut, waiting for gravity to tear her down to the ground and break every bone in her... Huh? Gravity was taking an awfully long time. She opened an eye 1 millimeter and found a red one right in front of it, twinkling with amusement. With a start, she realized she was already on the ground below the window, completely unharmed.
Come on, babe. Do you really think I'd ask you to do something like that if there was even the slightest chance it would go wrong?
Octavia slipped her hooves around her lover's neck and kissed her cheek.
How could you be sure?
I carried everything in my apartment across half of Manhattan the day I moved in, remember? Compared to that, you're a feather.
Vinyl returned the hug happily. Suddenly, Octavia felt very silly.
Well, I forgot about that,
she admitted.
To be fair, you surprised me.
I surprise myself sometimes. Anyway, that's not the only surprise of tonight. Or at least I hope it will be a surprise. Although, I guess it would make sense if it wasn't.
Vinyl pulled away and scratched her chin thoughtfully.
Now I'm not sure what to hope for.
I'm hoping this surprise of yours ends with both of us in front of a large fire or under 1,000,000 blankets.
The cellist shivered.
Baby, for you, I'll get both.
That's a fire hazard.
There's just no pleasing you, is there?
Vinyl pulled her under a hoof and led the way through the campus. By the time they stepped out into the streets of Manhattan, they were practically doing the drunk herder shuffle just to share body heat. Vinyl seemed to know exactly where they were heading, even if she refused to share it.
It'll ruin the surprise. Well, actually, it's not really part of the surprise, it's just the setting.
Vinyl explained.
If it won't ruin the surprise, then what's the harm in telling me?
Because it's part of the whole package, like individual notes in a song.
The unicorn giggled inexplicably for a few minutes after that. The trek continued past a couple of oddly festive poles that Vinyl refused to explain.
That's for a different night. It's a pretty interesting story, though. Trust me.
Just as Octavia was beginning to really question her decision to leave her blanket behind, Vinyl nudged her out of the waking coma she'd self-induced.
Hey, sweet butt, we're here.
She looked up to see a gigantic white oak tree. Snow-covered grass surrounded it, and trees dotted the landscape. She rubbed her eyes.
How did we get here?
We walked, remember? The uni students' pastime? This is a park somewhere on the other side of the city. Pretty cool, huh?
Octavia glanced around and grudgingly decided it was rather pretty.
Yes, it's very nice, but couldn't we have caught a carriage here in the morning?
It took me a while to figure out what your gift would be. This is the place where I realized it, so I figured it would be the best place to give it to you.
Realized what?
She said quietly, stepping closer to her DJ. Something serious was happening. Of that much, she was sure. Vinyl looked down, as if unable to meet her eyes.
I had this whole thing planned out in my head. A huge speech. I would have won awards for it.
Octavia smiled.
You don't have to do a speech just to give me a present, Vinyl.
The unicorn shook her head.
The speech is the present. Well, what comes after it?
She chuckled softly.
But I realized, as we were walking here, that the gift says everything for me.
She moved closer to her filly friend.
It's not expensive.
I don't care,
whispered Octavia. Vinyl inched towards her.
It's not fancy.
It doesn't matter.
She was utterly mesmerized now.
It's just words.
Your words.
Vinyl looked her in the eyes, breath shaking.
Octavia, I love you.
The cellist felt like her heart was going to burst. For some reason, her eyes were watering and her mouth was opening and closing. Vinyl leaned in close and nuzzled her.
You don't have to say it if you don't want to,
the unicorn whispered. Octavia regained control of her mouth.
I love you too, now kiss me, you idiot!
She blurted out, already moving to tackle her filly friend.
What do you mean she's not here?
The elegant mare made her extreme displeasure known. The stallion in front of her swallowed in fear.
We checked the room. It was empty.
He was just a middle management lackey she'd scooped up for the convenience. Many ponies thought that controlling the top echelon was all that was needed to control a company, or in this case, a university. Such thinking was exceedingly limited. Having a few of the middle workers in her pocket was very useful for doing work on the ground. That kind of pony was used to seeing success in the ranks above him, but tired of never reaching them. It was never hard to tempt them into performing some after-work activities.
Where could she have gone?
She demanded. The sound of her carriage speeding away became very noticeable. She had told the damn driver to wait.
I don't know. Maybe out to dinner?
He suggested, still sweating icicles.
On a night like this, after midnight?
Well,
Go and call me another carriage. Tell the others to move from the dormitory entrance to here, at the campus entrance. Let me know when she gets back and who she's with. I will not tolerate any more surprises. It was surprising, Vinyl, honest.
Octavia giggled as they strolled down the street.
Really? Are you sure? 'Cause I wondered if you were expecting me to say it or something.
I was surprised, trust me. It was the best start to any birthday I've ever had. Does that make you feel better?
Vinyl skipped along beside her, wearing the same smile she had since they left the park.
Yep.
Oh, Celestia, we have to walk all the way back now, don't we?
The cellist could feel her muscles aching just at the thought of such a journey. Her filly friend snorted.
Screw that, let's just crash at Bonbon's place.
Are you sure they won't mind?
Hey, we're all buddy-buddy, friends now, aren't we? It'll be fine.
Not for the first time, Octavia wished she shared her lover's optimism.
If you say so.
Vinyl led the way once more, displaying an inexplicably accurate sense of direction as she brought them to the huge dark store within 20 minutes. The festive poles increased in number as they neared it, and Octavia found herself wishing for better lighting so she could get a good look at the shop. Even at night, it looked rather impressive on the outside. The DJ knocked on the door loudly before cursing and muttering something about stupid magic. She took a step back and launched a stone from the curb straight up and into the chimney on the roof. Octavia watched with fascination as Vinyl made a bunch of silly faces while concentrating. Eventually, a window on the second floor opened, and a very tired-looking Bonbon poked her head out.
Whoever is down there making a rock fly around my room knocking stuff over, go away or I'll call the guards. Hi, Bonbon.
Vinyl greeted her cheerfully. The cream-colored mare's eyes widened as she woke up a little more.
Vinyl? What are you doing here this late? Oh, hello, Octavia.
The cellist gave her an "I'm so sorry about this" smile.
We had a late night and kinda need a place to crash since uni is so far away.
Vinyl put on her most winning smile. Bonbon rolled her eyes and disappeared from view, closing the window behind her. Octavia sighed irritably. Lack of sleep didn't treat her well.
Well done, Vinyl.
Hey, I thought you was gonna let us in. Hang on, let me get another rock.
Before she could even turn around, the main double doors to the shop opened to admit them. Bonbon yawned as she waved them in.
Come on, you're letting the heat out.
As they passed her, Octavia gave the mayor a quick hug.
Thank you for this. I hope I'm not being too much of a problem.
The shop owner closed and locked the doors again.
Don't worry about it. I can sleep when I'm dead.
She paused, then muttered,
From lack of sleep.
There were some dark cases and things in the darkness on the ground floor, and as curious as she was, Octavia decided now wasn't the time. Bonbon led the way upstairs and into a dimly lit living area. Yawning once more, the tired mayor gestured at 2 couches.
Bunk 1 and bunk 2. Kitchen is there, bathroom is somewhere else. I'm going back to bed.
Octavia couldn't blame her for the abrupt exit. She was feeling the call of the couch pretty strongly as well, and apparently so was Vinyl, who had already collapsed on one of them. She would have preferred to spend such an important night in the same bed, but it's not like either of them was coherent enough to say much of importance anyway. She settled down on the comfy, sweet-smelling couch and let her breathing slow. From the darkness, Vinyl's voice mumbled,
Love you. Sleep tight.
Octavia closed her eyes and smiled.
Love you too.